Hello everybody, my name is Bobby Richardson. I'm here to do some channeling today. I do it every Thursday. I bring through my team. I'm trying something different today. So today I'm trying to go through Zoom, and so I'm not sure how this is going to work. I've still got to find my way with all of this. So yeah. Here we go. Yeah, I knew that was going to double up. So I'm just going to put the chat bar over here to see if this works. Anyways, because I think that there's a lag in this whole thing when it comes through to YouTube, but I want to also see the chat bar. So I'm trying to figure out how I can do this. Hey, Snezana. Hey, Annie, good to see you guys. You guys are always here. It's so beautiful to see you. So yeah, I'm going to have a crack at this, see if it works. And if it works, we'll keep doing it this way. Yeah. Hey, Cherie. Okay. So I'm a little bit off time today. I usually start either 7 or 7:30. And I thought, nah, I'm just going to go for it because I'm trying this new thing. Any case, so today we're going to channel through my team. My soul team or soul tribe is mainly consistent of Pleiadians and Arcturians. I also connect straight to source energy sometimes, and Gaia. And I have a strong connection to the elementals through the Pleiadians. So my connection with the elementals actually is, I was told by the Cherokee elder that picked me out of a crowd twice before I started to work with her on 2 different occasions, like a year apart. And she was sent by her guides to go find what she calls buffalo hearts, which are souls straight from Pleiades, here to help guide humanity. And she pricked my finger to get some DNA, some blood, and then she goes into a meditation to find my my path, my name. And when she did that, I was in Ohio with her then, and she found that my name was called Alanawa Nanahi, and Alanawa meant turtle, and Nanahi was fairy. So Alanawa was to do with my mission, and that I'm here to be a compass for those who wanted to raise their energies into higher frequencies. And so I was gifted the ability to see into those higher frequencies and experience it, so I could find my own way through the maze and then go back and help others, which is what I'm doing now. Nanahi was the elementals or the fairy clan, and everyone was saying, oh, I can see that you were there. I was actually really tiny when I was little, but she came up to me afterwards and said, no, you're not just the fairy clan, you are creator of that realm. So that was really interesting. So I have a strong connection to the elementals and I've had a few experiences with them. But for now, I tend to, I love the vibration of the Pleiadians, so I tend to stick to them more. The Arcturians are more they have a lot more wisdom, they have this wisdom, but they're a little bit more intense, and they feel things a lot more, where the Pleiadians come from their hearts, and they move through life through love very strongly, were the ones that I connect with. Of course, there's many different Pleiadians. It's a big system. It has many more than 7 stars in it, and it has many more than a lot of planets. So there's all different varied levels, and it depends on who you're tapping into, obviously. But my team has come to me as these very tall, etheric, see-through, very vivid blue beings, very similar to the end of the knowing. And so I tend to work with them, or they are looking they can manifest as tall, kind of blonde, blue eyes, that sort of thing. Not to say that there aren't other different colored eyes and hair on Pleiades, but yeah, the ones that look more humanoid is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, let's get into this channeling and see where we can go for today. I'm going to take off my glasses for now. Hey, everybody. I'll put them on when I have to read that, but I just wanted to clear this space here. I was getting some messages, so I'm going to probably start with that. I was getting some messages as I was waking up, actually, and it was to do with giving away our power to those that say that they have the right to take it. And they're doing it in a way of manipulation through devices. And it is actually pushing us to ask ourselves, are we looking for freedom and taking our reins back? Or are we looking for safety and a conditioned life that is controlled by an outside force? Excuse me, got a frog in my throat this morning. Yeah, so they're bringing me into how that can happen, giving away our power, where if you have taken your sovereign self back and know exactly where you're going, to the freedom of the choices that you want to create your own reality, then this will not become anything of your reality. You might see it in a distance, but it won't become part of your reality. But there are those that are making devices smaller and smaller and smaller. And then they are saying that these nanos will end up healing you, making you stronger, all that sort of thing. The thing is, they still want a monopoly over your sovereign self. So it is a choice in the end, but not a choice of fear, playing their fear game, because as soon as you start tapping into that fear game, you're bringing the energy towards you. This is a choice of knowing exactly who you are, where you're going, and then your soul will direct you in that path. And you will see through the illusion that they are trying to monopolize, which they cannot monopolize every single facet of directions. It is absolutely impossible to have a rule and a law over every single facet of direction for a human to go on. So we have this ability to be able to put in place that if there is some force coming towards us that's creating the illusion of you have to do as I say, then when you say I will not, I am sovereign and I know my power, then all of a sudden you start bringing in gifts that give you insights, that give you premonition dreams, that tell you a new path, that gift you the ability to teleport out of there, that have all of these other scenarios. Are bringing me to gurus that were imprisoned over in China, and when they were imprisoned, they still stayed central in their freedom of themselves, even though their body was put behind bars. And there's there was a paintings that I saw in a gallery of this man who had found out that these gurus would literally do meditative practices, and then the guards would let them go, or the doors would swing open and they just walk out, or the guards would fall asleep, and so forth. So there are many paths when we take back our power And this is what they are pushing us into. The more power they seem to have, the more power we have at our beck and call when we need it to be able to move through the so-called illusional control factor that's happening outside of us. Because anything that is in control of outside of us is teaching us that we are lacking in control of who we are and not taking our sovereign power back. We are source energy, we are God itself, moving through a vessel, which is our body, just like every other animal and on this planet is. But they have a consciousness that directs them in or a natural program that directs them in a certain towards a certain path, and so does humanity. Humanity's consciousness is lifting out of the vibration of being controlled because we were held hostage by our own logical brain that controlled us, and so right hemisphere allowed that to happen in some respects. And now we're learning that just how powerful the feminine side is, but the masculine needs to be able to match that. So even within relationships that we have with each other, male and female, we'll see this going one way and then the other. The female looks like they're more powerful, the male does, the female does, the male does, because every time the female shifts herself into more power, the male has to match it, and so forth. Exactly the same thing that happens within our minds and our brains. And it's within that expansion that is bringing in new frequencies that we haven't tapped into, which is the benevolence, the channeling messages, the understanding that our soul can talk to and have conversation to beings outside of what our physical body can interpret. And it's not to say that our physical body won't interpret them in the future in a physical way, but we have to have a meet where we come physically together so that both feel like they're in the same vibration. Otherwise, it's likened to if somebody's really struggling with their life and starting to consume themselves, you wouldn't want to go down in the well with them. They will consume you as well. So they are very careful to keep their options open. Yeah. So I hope this is all coming across too very well, because I'm going through Zoom. If anyone tells me that my voice is too quiet, or I would love to know. That hopefully it's not glitchy or anything. It hasn't been glitchy since I moved into our new house, so that's really good. It's something, isn't it? I'll just see what's saying on my... Hey Deb from New York. Hey Sandy, happy summer solstice. Yeah, thank you, Annie. We're in the summer, so yeah, it is summer solstice, isn't it? The 20th, 21st of December. That's so true. Important days. See what else is happening. Thanks, Annie, for letting me know it's good. See what else is coming through. So really important to have a fuller understanding of who you are. Know thyself keeps coming up for me all the time. Know thyself. They're bringing me to the Matrix, where he was looking at the sign and he met the oracle. And the oracle, what was she doing? She's just being a natural, ordinary self, making cookies. Why? Because she wanted to experience that. But above the door was know thyself. Who are we really at the essence and the core of who we are? And the expansion of humanity's consciousness is starting to have a fuller understanding that all is just one source energy going on a journey. And that means that we are no better or worse than anyone else. It's only our own logical brain that's telling us so. It keeps on coming in and saying that we are not as good as that, and oh my gosh, that has the monopoly, that team is bigger than mine, it has the monopoly on me. I have to follow orders, I have to follow this scenario. It's not to say that it's not going to be a transition where the orders in some respects are still followed, but the vibration within ourselves seeking freedom, we'll start to see gaps within the system that will start to find freedom within that system that was poured over us as a control mechanism, and it doesn't need to anymore. The thing is to make peace with that control mechanism. We want to make peace with the logical brain that had taken over, that it learned so much about itself. We want to make peace with everything that comes our way, so that we do have the reins to it, because as soon as we have a fear-based scenario towards something, we don't have peace in it, we don't have the reins. We're literally within that fear saying that that is more powerful than us, and so we are consumed by it. Oh, they're really coming through at the moment. Hey, Cherie from California. Good to see you guys here. Remember, I'm always open to questions. Just start with a capital and I'll know it's a question, or a Q. A capital Q would be really good. Let's see what else is coming through for humanity's consciousness and our evolutional path. So we're coming up to 2023, right? And I'm sure many of you are asking what's going to happen in 2023. There is an overall energy that is a split that is happening. So you might find that even if you do go into a learning how to manifest in real time for yourself, which is stepping out of the system, you'll still see in the peripheral vision, or as an observer of people consuming their life and things, dangerous things happening over there, but don't really affect you. It could come into your reality, and then again, it might not at all. And the more that you step away from that storyline through 2023, and the more that you focus in on what you particularly want to create and love in your life, that you don't keep falling into the woe is me when, say, tax time comes around or something like that, where you just go, you know what, I do the movements and I enjoy, and I'm having a cup of tea and I'm having my cookie while I do it, and I'm going to love my life, even if I feel at this moment we haven't escaped the illusion of that being more powerful. I'm still going to enjoy myself through the process. They want us to do that, enjoy our process of our living as much as possible through 2023, because it will break spaces in between the program where there'll be groups and that will break off, break out of the system and start to fuel themselves with this ability to manifest in real time and understand the power of themselves. And so they won't be able to be touched by, or even seen, or even noticed by the system. It's like the system will probably end up going, well, you come with us, or you don't, we leave you out in the cold, and we're already in power. So we go, sorry, we don't want to have anything to do with, something that is in control of us in a minute form within us, and maybe healing us in this time. But then you have the reins, you have the flick of the switch, you can control that to, you have control of our bodies. Then you can say whether we do get sick or don't, and that's one person that can flick that switch and say that they want to do that, where they are working through the AI and so forth. Do we really want to go there? That's the opposite of where I feel humanity's consciousness is searching to get out of that. and how deep do you want to go down that and it's all choice. If someone chooses to do that, then that's their journey, and we have to accept that, and no judgment call on it, because they're still source energy going on a journey through this avatar in this body, and they wanted to see what it felt like to give their power away to some entity or corporation or something, then that's up to them. And that's source energy going on a journey, right? How can you judge God itself, source energy? You cannot. So allow it to be, but always move towards where you know your power really resides, which is within the balanced mind of ourselves, and it's within our own intention of accepting our power. And then we can play with things that we were told. We're always so consumed and worried about things that we do that does bring us out of balance a bit, but we can, like, how are they putting this? You have choice within your own sovereign self of, say, for instance, you wanted a drink of wine. You can have a drink of wine. You can still feel the effects of it if you want to, or you can say, I do not want to feel the effects of it, I just like the taste of it. And you have control over a lot more. It's really interesting what they're bringing through. You might end up not wanting to anyway, go that path anymore, but that's at least something that you're driving towards yourself, and there's no judgment on somebody else who wants to still experience wine or so anything else like that, but there is no effect on the body, because our body is working in conjunction of, get ready, this is coming, we know how to consume it properly, that sort of thing. It's like our bodies are a universe within themselves, and so it's working in harmony of acceptance rather than in fear and opposing ourselves. Therefore you can stop judging others for their choices, and that's a big call. We don't want to go there. That in itself brings us into a lower vibration, because we're trying to control something outside of ourselves again. Hey, Katie, good to see you. Yeah. Let's see what else comes through. Just realized I don't have a time thing on this. Sorry. You will it'll be very clear to you who are the people that are on the same journey or same path as you are, because they will start to show they will start to ground their utopia on Gaia, and become abundant in their own right. And abundance can come in many forms. It can come in freedom, where you've got nothing and you just move through life freely, expecting when you need something it will come to you, or it could come as you have a set home where you feel comfortable, and you can be as elaborate as you want with that home. There is no cap on they're rich, so they're not raising their level to my level. That in itself is a judgment call. Or they are poor, they have nothing, so they're not in the right frequency of my. No, that's not how it works. Frequency is to do with sovereign self going on a journey that they wish to go on, and experience, and that can come in many different colors and many different forms, which gives us diversity, and a playground of many fun things to move into and experience, where one person's reality will be a bubble of their own, and then another's completely different. When they meet, they can share how that experience feels to them, and then you can take bits and pieces of their experience for your own self, because you decide that you want to manifest that in your reality, not that you're taking from them, because that's theirs, and if there's nothing to take, you cannot take someone else's journey that's come from their own self-support. It's impossible, because as soon as someone takes the same thing, it appears for that person again. So there is no, it's to do with the frequency of how we feel, rather than the who owns more, and so forth. They're giving me some indication of where we're actually going, so that we have a better understanding of how to get there, because sometimes we need the end result to know where we're going, and then we allow the journey to take us there. It's like you're living in a utopia of happiness. Everything also looks a lot sparklier, greener, brighter. Plants, you can literally see when a plant is feeling a little low and when it's feeling good. I can do that now personally myself, Bobby. I can do that. I can see a plant and I can go, even though it looks the same physically, I can feel when it's in a little bit of stress and when it's not. We start to feel into our environment. So our environment feels, has a, what are they trying to say? Like a co-creative connection, to us. Where we help it helps us, that sort of thing happens, because we see it's an extension from our body in higher dimensions, where we see everything outside of us, even those that we meet, as us, and like it's not just that our reality finishes at our bodies, and that everything else is separated. We see everything as us as well, because when the right hemisphere is connected, it has an understanding that all outside of it is source energy, is us as well. They're bringing me to Jill Bolt Taylor, who, if you want to look her up, this is one of the things that my guides taught me to, so they're bringing it up now for you guys. Jill Bolt Taylor did a talk. She's a neuroscientist, and she had a stroke, and she had a stroke on her left hemisphere, and she was like, oh wow, now I can actually physically experience what's happening to me while I go through this left shutdown of my brain, because it had a stroke. And when she was only within her right hemisphere, she could the outside world became part of her existence. So she felt expanded out into the outside world, like she was part of everything and just huge. And she literally saw her hand become the wall behind her. And there was no difference between, it was just one. And then the left brain would hook in, and it would be like, oh my God, something's wrong. We've got to get... we've got to get to a telephone. And she'd find a card and try to read the numbers, and the numbers were all merging into the background. She couldn't differentiate with just the right hemisphere. She couldn't differentiate what was, there was no separation anymore. So it's to do with, in those higher frequencies, not that we're going to ignore our logical brain, because that means that we will sort of disappear into our background, and we won't have our full understanding. We'll become like savant autistic, and we won't be really with it and grounded in this reality. And that is the purpose of the left logical brain. So there has to be a unity that happens between both for us to experience a godlike reality and ground it in a physical form of separation, so that we can still have morning, a day-to-day basis story that's held within the logical mind. And that's the purpose of that, where there is a cap on a certain there is still a cap on a certain experience. We're not just going to be all just source energy itself. Otherwise, we won't have an experience. Where are they going with this one? So yeah, it's to do with the higher frequencies, to do with helping guide us into taking that power back of the right hemisphere. So that means our gifts do go up and our expansion, and we expand into more, but there's still a certain cap that needs to be, which is our original sovereign self. And that's what the logical brain will still have hold on. But in any given moment, we can experience something outside of the so-called norm. I'm trying to understand where they're going with this one. But look up Jill Bolt Taylor and her experience of having a stroke. That was a really profound story that she wanted to go on a mission to do, and she does big talks on that through TED. She did a talk through TED, so if you look that one up through TED. The same. Oh, we'll leave that one for now, and I'll see what else comes up. They're bringing up health now and our focus on health. They really want us to focus in on 2023 on our health being already whole. Whenever we focus in on an illness, whenever we focus in on the problems going wrong with us, which can be absolutely millions and trillions of problems can go wrong, because our imagination and we can conjure up all these things going wrong, right? And those that are pulling the wool over our eyes can conjure up many things that can go wrong. But when we focus in on it, we make it bigger. In the true essence of healing, we need to understand that a healed person is understanding that they are whole within themselves, the whole. Yeah. I know there's a lag within the chat bar and me talking too, so I'm going to flip into the chat bar because I just saw it rising just then. Hey Sasha, good to see you. Oh, great, Katie. I'm just reading these comments now. As we shift from the old paradigms, beliefs, and lighten our loads, we become lighter, more crystalline. We are as we believe ourselves to be in the end. There's different, it's actually up to us where we want to go with this. We can expand out of more and more out of the limited based program on Gaia, but then we're leaving Earth, and we can become more and more light in frequency, but then we have the whole universe that we can move through, because we through our own understanding of ourselves, we can move into whatever we wish, we desire. But the whole point of this shift with humanity's consciousness too is to elevate us into a place where we feel at peace with ourselves, and then still play with outside of ourselves. Sounds funny. Play outside of ourselves so that we can still build buildings, create beautiful artworks, and move, but work with our environment as a whole. So we work with Gaia. We have an understanding that she has certain needs, and the trees need certain needs, and so forth, and we work with, and then they work with us. When we start to work with a tree, it starts to work with us. When we start to understand it more and have more compassion and feeling through with that tree, it will start to, literally trees will start to grow homes for us, where we don't even have to chop them down anymore. That is something that can come in the future, in these higher frequencies, where the trees know what you want, and so it becomes part of your environment to keep you safe. And not only that, we breathe in its beautiful oxygen and exchange that actually trees want to exchange a lot more with us, so that we can, they even have a root system that goes into Gaia, and Gaia feels through those roots. It's interesting. It's like humanity has piled all of everything that it eats comes out, obviously, and then we pile it in one big pile over there. And yet, if we this sounds really weird, if we learn that the soil needs to know who we are, then it will grow the foods that we need to eat, that we're missing the certain vitamins or whatever. But when the plants and the trees don't know that we even exist here, because we've separated ourselves so much from them, then they can't conducively help us to grow the vitamins that we need to have the fruits that have the thing that we're missing. The other way that you can do that is to, and I was taken to this one thing through a book. I haven't read the whole of Anastasia's books. I've read like half. I'm not very good at reading, so I've read maybe a quarter of the book, but they took me to specific places in the book, and one of them was necessary for me to learn from was that you can put the seeds that you have in your mouth, and then the seeds will have an understanding of the vitamins that are lacking, and then you plant it in the ground, and then it will grow the vitamins that you are lacking as well. But obviously only conducive to the vitamins that were already going to be present in that plant to begin with. So a tomato might have serotonin in it, and if you're lacking in serotonin, it will grow more serotonin, that sort of thing. But it can't produce something like selenium, which is grown by a Brazil nut instead. So that's why when we're working with Gaia herself, she will even ask work with the plants and the birds to drop the seeds in the specific place for us, and all of that sort of stuff. It's like we're all just one, conducively creating a healthy environment, because it's reflecting how healthy we feel about ourselves. So if we're constantly focusing on this is going to go wrong with us, it's going to go wrong with us, then we won't even get that help. It will just go wrong with us, and we will die from it. And if you haven't noticed throughout the decades, the more that the so-called programs television, so forth, focuses in on one subject, then it ends up that subject ends up becoming the problem, because everybody's decided that that's going to be their illness, and they focus in on it, and fear brings it to you. I've met the most healthiest people before, and they do everything right, like they eat only nuts and seeds and all that sort of stuff, and they everything right, and they still ended up with cancer because they're consistently scared of getting it. Even though they're eating everything right, they still get it. So the cells, our cells will naturally produce what we are focusing in on. And that's why a shaman, when they are focused in, they'll focus in on health. I have brought this up before, I think, in another channeling as well, but they're bringing it up for 2023 in a big way. And it probably was going to be brought up again and again until we really get this picture. I'm just reading some of these chat bars too. Katie, well, can't believe the sync. Have Siberia Anastasia in my astral chart. I was sent beautiful video of her and the cedar oil group in the forest. Yeah. So those cedar trees have a communication with more than. They actually are telling me that they communicate with Gaia straight through to Gaia, but they also have communication through to higher benevolence that we aren't aware of, that's on Gaia too, and that frequency is holding them in place for us to have a go-to when we need to have when we want to have a fuller understanding of the connections between Gaia, trees, humanity's consciousness, and the higher frequencies. There's something going on there. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I haven't read the books. I only read, like I said, that small amount, but they're telling me that she was placed here, Anastasia was placed here on Gaia for a specific reason for us to have an insight into our potential. Yeah. Anything else? Coming through. And it's not to say that everything that Anastasia's books are okay. Some of her work has been lost in the translation. So there's still more to be found out. There are definite places that have been created on Gaia that are protected, really protected. Just like there's certain individuals on Gaia that come here with specific missions that are very protected, and there's nothing that can go wrong with them. Not a hair on their head will be hurt through this transition. Not to say that they won't go through their own lessons, but that's their own doing, so that they can undo that and then teach others. That's different, but the outside forces will not be able to affect them if they stay in the higher vibrations. And that's where we're all going in the end. It's like one person does it or has a feeling of doing it, and then the next others start to understand that that's the way to go, because they can see the results coming in logical form when we're grounding this onto Gaia. So those with higher missions that have come straight from different frequencies of different planets, and when we're born into a human form, we would have had to lose ourselves to find ourselves again. And our missions have been protected because our protection is that we have a very strong understanding and knowing from the core of ourselves that our soul has way more power than what an outside force could ever pull over us, because we've come from that place, straight from that place. So we have an awareness within our own selves of what that's about. And so when we're born, we carry that, even if we're going through the lessons and dipping in and out of not understanding and then understanding. There's always this inner underneath inner core of knowing who we are, and no one can dispute, no one can take that away from those that have that understanding. And those that have been humanity that's been caught in a loop, life after life after life, will start to see that those people are who they are, because we're in essence, we are learning to ground that utopia that we are always dreaming of on Gaia. So we are learning to manifest in real time, and also expand our, and not be afraid to show that we have an expanded consciousness through channeling, telepathy, telekinesis, and all that sort of stuff. Our remote viewings, understanding of things that the logical brain has been held hostage into, or thought that was the only limit of humanity's consciousness. Yeah. Let's see what else comes up. So there's going to be those in 2023 that are going to start shining a lot more, that have had the missions to help humanity out. You don't have to stick with one. You can go, take what you need out of the guidance of somebody, and then if you feel like you don't resonate with them, and for a while leave, and then go find someone else. You don't need to stick with one person. That's very logical based. Allow yourself to be free. It doesn't mean that you don't have to, you can stay with one, that's absolutely fine, but allow yourself to have the reins of your own life. Whatever feels good, if it feels good, just keep going, keep doing it, keep going there. If it's not hindering your life, surround yourself with those that are showing you the path that you want to go on. And if they've already done it, even better, so that you're surrounding your environment with wisdom coming into your ears and your eyes that is conducive to the dream that you're trying to create. Keep going towards that. So those people that you want to vibrate with will be the ones that are similar to the dream that you are desiring to create. And there's going to be, quite a few that are starting to pop up and on YouTube and so forth as well. Yeah. Yes. See what else? If there's anything else, or whether I just leave it there. Is there any questions anyway that anyone has? I'll just go on the chat bar and have a quick look. I have a 30-year-old fuchsia. Fuchsia, I love fuchsias. They're my favorite plant. In a hanging basket, looking unhappy with its position. So I asked where it would like to be, and it spun around and pointed to a new place. It's happy now. I love that. See, that's so cool. And when you realize that you can connect with something that's in your environment, you're expanding yourself to that. You're becoming part of that plant as well. So that's beautiful. Thanks, Katie, for sending the links to videos and stuff like that for Anastasia and all of that. So yeah, go have a look up. These are some of the things that I personally, they took me to, and I forgot about, to tell you the truth. But this is years and years and years ago that I think it was like 2011 when I read that little bit of Anastasia. And then I haven't seen any of the videos, so maybe I'm not supposed to, so that I have this clear, you know, they give me just snippets of bits of pieces, and then they would move me on to somebody else. So I think that's just so that I have trust and faith in my soul's connection, and not just linking into one thing and that's all the wisdom I have, kind of thing. Okay, I've put an aerial of copper attached to driftwood with copper wire and earth, and it helps bring in more light energy for the plants. That's interesting. All good here. Planet sees I breathed on them, a planet and given an intent. Okay, I love that. See, my little soul group here, half of them already know what I'm going to say, and it's, you know, I love it because I'm confirming. That's fantastic. I love that. Thanks guys so much for all your support and liking and subscribing and sharing and all of that sort of stuff. I do want to get it further out there, and I know that it's coming. They keep telling me be patient, because it's syncing up to a specific time where I am fully protected within myself to do this, and that intention will carry me even further. So there's, you know, still some little bits of clearing that I'm doing myself. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist where I want everything perfect, being that I've got 5 or 6 Virgos in me before I move into the bigger, wider world. But it's not going to end here. I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life, no matter what and where my journey takes me. So exciting times ahead, and I do have some fun surprises for next year, which I'm still not going to say, but it's getting exciting anyway. So happy Christmas for everyone who finds happiness in Christmas. I certainly do. I don't follow religion, but I just find happy because that's what one of my happy places was when I was a kid. So I keep it going. And however you want to find yourself happy in these cool holiday times. Yeah, love and light to you. And I should be here, like, I think next Tuesday. Yes, I'm pretty sure I'm still going to be going live next week for the new year and everything. We'll see what happens then. Love you guys heaps. Until next time. I'm going to have to learn how to shut down the Zoom and everything now. So there might be a bit of a wait here.